Okay. Now, section 148 that relates to cost audit. This explains the explains that irrespective of whatever said we have discussed, the central government may by order in respect of such class of companies engaged in the production of such goods or providing such services as may be prescribed, direct that particulars relating to the utilization of the material or labor or to other items of cost as may be prescribed shall also be included in the books of account kept by that class of companies, provided that the central government shall before issuing such order in respect of any class of companies regulated under a special act consult the regulatory body constituted or established under such special act. Earlier also the cost audit was there in the old Companies Act. This time also new Companies Act has taken care of the cost audit, but interesting element is that the cost aspect, what it is understood, it is not being given the due consideration. See, India as we understand, we go for always doing everything in an economical way. So the earlier the annual report, if you look at, they were talking about utilization of the scarce resources. There was some report on the conservation of water, the oil, and so many other things were also being discussed in the annual report. But what I personally believe, and perhaps this is a matter of debate, why the cost is not properly the cost aspect is not properly being taken care. I would share with one of my one article which I found somewhere when I read that worldwide, if you look at the financial reporting, though basic cost data of the companies are not disclosed, cost data are basically considered the internal data. But nowadays, even a lot of developed economies, if you watch, as we have seen also, particularly with the power companies in developed economies, they have been pressurized to give a lot of costing data. So why there should be costing data? The costing data is considered to be always internal. When costing data are there in the annual report or in the accounts of the companies, this is really going to help a lot of new entrant to understand the nitty-gritty and also can come out with the kind of similar business, and definitely it is good for the public at large. But even if we are talking about the cost audit, looking into even the interest of the promoters, we understand that cost data perhaps should not be disclosed or should not be more analyzed, should not be made public, etc., etc. But the point is, when we are talking about the economy as a whole, economy as in the entire economy in general, so the cost auditor or the person who is doing the audit of the costing data, so definitely has a lot of things to do. Even the cost auditor can give a lot of suggestions with regard to how the cost can be controlled, how even people today talk about cost management, so gone are those days when people are only talking about how to reduce cost or how to control cost, but now the cost has got a new dimension. Okay, there are activity based costing, there are strategic cost management. So while the auditor is going to audit the cost accounts, okay, this new act should, this is just a suggestion that the new act should bring a lot of new rules and regulations or amendment to ensure that the costing data should be properly analyzed. So even the person who is going to do audit should talk about a lot of improvement, lot of suggestions, lot of new strategies where the cost can be reduced, and that very much suits our our way of looking at things. The Indian thinking of getting everything at a least cost, the price should be lower, and there are plenty of articles that talks about the price internationally or even across our country should be low. So this can be possible when the auditor just looking at the accounts or even the costing data should also focus as to giving a lot of suggestions on the costing data. So this is really going to help the management, and ultimately everybody is going to be benefited. Now if you analyze this section, okay, as I've already said, it's a neglected aspect. Cost audit is as usual, it's a neglected aspect, but can generate report on vital resources of the company, and of course it will talk about a lot of strategies which is not being taken care in the new act. But when I look forward and when I see that there is a lot of untapped business potential in the new amendments, maybe it will be taken care of. Okay, to give my concluding remarks on the kind of sections I have discussed, section 139 to 148 of the Companies Act 2013. Okay, so we discussed the role and responsibility of the auditor. I mean, if you analyze this all the sections together, okay, mostly this section talks about there is a system, and there is a system prescribed by the the Companies Act, and this system have to be checked, and ultimately the financial statement or accounts should reflect the true and fair view. But believe me, the auditor can do much more things than simply looking at compliance of the section 139 to 148. As we know that there is a good saying about auditor, that auditor needs to be a watchdog than bloodhound. Okay, I fully appreciate this statement. I support this statement that auditor cannot be bloodhound, because ultimately auditor is there to facilitate the system. They are not supposed to target the people, or they should not speak a lot of things which are going to ultimately impact the company, the market price of the company. Ultimately, any firm, when you look at the objective of the firm, is to of course make the profit, but at the same time taking care of the interest of the lot of stakeholders, including the shareholders. So while auditor is going to review the accounts, financial statement, notes to accounts, a lot of schedules, lot of disclosures, financial disclosures, whistleblowing, etc. But at the same time, auditor has a lot of things talking about a lot of strategies, because when somebody is studying the system and pointing out the loopholes, at the same time there can be a positive side of this reporting, or the auditing. So like I said, the cost auditor, they are definitely going to talk about a lot of good strategies which are really going to help the company. And as I said, the auditor should be fully much updated. There are a lot of good systems, there are a lot of innovations happening on the cost side. And similarly, when auditor is looking at the system, auditor can also point out wherever the strategy, whether the strategy of the management fails. Like auditor is going to look at and review the internal control system, okay, internal financial control system, and also the operational effectiveness. So this is a good development. So Companies Act 2013 has really brought a good thing, that while auditing, the auditor has to also comment on the operational effectiveness. So when we look at operational effectiveness, definitely plenty of innovations are there, which the auditor has to look from a from a positive perspective, and any findings which are going to improve the profitability or reduce the cost definitely should be welcome. So while the statutory auditor are going to talk about compliance to the Companies Act 2013 with regard to the accounts and the true and fair view of the financial statement or financial position, definitely they would be having also a lot of hidden, or they would have also they would have tracked also a lot of good things insiders point of view, and which can help in adding value to the company's the profitability and other advantage with a lot of processes. So the operational effectiveness which has come in the Companies Act 2013, it is really a new dimension which has brought to the auditors to explore, and wherever it is possible, identify a lot of hidden, or identify a lot of improvement strategies, and these strategies also can be discussed in the report. And instead of just focusing on the only qualified things or adverse comments, the auditors can look forward to also tracking a lot of good things which are hidden, or which could be discussed in the AGM. Now we know that under Companies Act 2013, auditors' comments are also required. The auditor has to be also present in the AGM and also general meeting. So as we also know that the shareholders are going to have the advantage, because getting through the lots of papers is not that good, whereas listening to the auditor, okay, so listening to horse mouth, so that is the advantage they carry. So they can face to face, they can discuss with the auditor when the auditor is present in the meeting. So that is really a good development in the Companies Act 2013. And similarly, on a plain note, we can say that auditor certification gives confidence to outside stakeholders to rely financial statement prepared by the management. And as we also understand, looking at the complexities involved, as we know that there are plenty of examples in everyday's newspaper as to frauds and scams. Okay, so the role of auditor here is very crucial, and as the complexities, the trends, the increase in the trends of the instances of frauds and scams coming in the newspaper, so the role of auditor is also getting more complex. People are becoming more, the people who are doing such wrong things, frauds and scams. So they are becoming more intelligent. They are coming out with new ways to commit such crimes, and so auditor has to be also updated. So simply having a qualification is not going to suffice the requirement. They should go on updating their skill, their understanding, and similarly they should attend a lot of seminars, a lot of international seminars, there are various academia body, industry academia body, so they are conducting a lot of good seminars on good subjects, and the auditor should attend those seminars and update the skills. And as we know, also a lot of professional institute outside, they time to time conduct a lot of skill updations program, and the auditor should attend. So these are going to really help the auditor. And of course, I fully agree with that the first statement I gave, that auditor needs to be watchdog and the auditor cannot be bloodhound. So ultimately we have to look at from a very the overall perspective. We have to see that the right spirit should prevail in the company, and ultimately the company should make profit, and ultimately when the company is making profit, our country is getting benefited. There is a employment, there is a GDP will increase, and it is going to really do all the good things. So auditor's role is definitely not a role of what a bloodhound, the kind of we talk about. So it has to be watchdog. It has to not only simply look at only the compliance to the system. It has to come out with new findings, a lot of new suggestions to the management as to how the profit can increase, how the cost can be reduced. As I have already said, there are a lot of new technical things are there. Even the cost audit has not been properly emphasized by the new act, and I look forward in future that in the amendments to come, definitely cost audit has to be elaborated, and the cost auditor, by virtue of doing the audit of the costing data, definitely get exposed to a lot of good strategies. And if the cost auditor is updated, definitely that auditor is going to add a lot of values to the company's the kind of business model, and it is really going to benefit the company. And last but not the least, the auditor has to the development with regard to bringing the auditor to the meeting. It's a very good development. And similarly, there are lots of new things which have been brought in the New Companies Act with regard to the role of auditor. Okay, so the role of auditor has also been extended to inform to the government if there is a serious fraud and the crimes committed by the officers of the company. So that is also a major finding. That's also a good development. With this, I complete my discussions. Thank you.